is an older one. It says, Star Force will help God.
Star Force will help God. Star Force will help God.
Thank you for tuning into Gods, Demons, and Magic. This is your host, Sri Sachinandan Das. We're continuing to explore the Egyptian mysteries by Iamblichus, and within this ancient text, the Egyptian priest Abaman is discussing many things and answering the questions of the Greek philosopher Porphyry. It is describing the various supernatural beings which exist within the universe, from the highest beings, being the gods, all the way down to regular human beings like you or I, and how the spirits of such beings can be invoked through magical ritual. And over the last few episodes, we've been discussing the various symptoms that these beings have arrived within the magical ritual. With the gods or with the archangels and angels, there may be a blazing out of light, an all-consuming divine fire which draws you into a powerful spiritual vision. Or you may hear voices, such as with the angels, or with the daemons there may be tumultuous things within the room. Windows blow open, things fall down. There's so many different things which announce the presence of these supernatural beings. And then there's the vision itself. What exactly do those beings look like? Are they all alone? Usually not. Usually there's like a retinue of other supernatural beings within the category beneath them, over which they control. And there's oftentimes visions that one will see of the universe, especially that aspect of reality which that being is in charge of. And then also there's the impression that it makes upon you. How do you feel? What do you think? It sort of affects your mind, and especially with the higher beings, it'll give you illumination in regards to the path of self-realization, spiritual elevation, the unfoldment of the soul's purpose in the world, which is ultimately self-realization and to reunite with the absolute truth, or to reunite with God, or the absolute, the one, the good. With lower beings such as daemons, then the real interest of that being is the realm of matter, because that's the realm they control. And therefore, for material purposes, for within the realm of love, or within the realm of money or politics, one may consult a lower supernatural being, and then one's consciousness will be filled with the desires and the interests of that particular realm. You're immersed in material concerns when you're in their presence. And the being will also provide solutions to those material concerns. And beings like half-gods, they provide inspiration and power in order to lead mankind, and especially to lead mankind upward in terms of morals, values, success. And so today we're going to continue discussing the Archons. Now, it's quite interesting. Like the archangels and angels, Archons aren't traditionally a Greek or an Egyptian category of being. In fact, early writers, such as and Greek writers such as Plato, they didn't include them in the cosmic hierarchy. But Iamblichus, being a writer from late antiquity, he does. And so you'll see within this cosmic hierarchy, there's certain conceptions which are obviously Greek, coming from the Greek world, such as the gods, the daemons, the souls of men, and the perfected souls of men, as well as the half-gods, the demigods, individuals like Achilles and Hercules. And then you also have Christian influences, such as the archangels or angels, which may also be the influence of Judaism and most probably Kabbalah. Whereas the Archons are definitely a Gnostic influence. And as we've seen in this text, the Greek or the Egyptian conception of the universe is ultimately that it's good, that you have the divine light of the One, or the Supreme, or God, entering into the world through the realm of the gods and illuminating it with spiritual knowledge. And the soul has the opportunity to rise up and sort of meet this knowledge and bask in this light and be purified. And there are negative influences in this world, just as the lower daemons, which we must struggle against. But ultimately, this is a world predominated by the power of the gods and predominated by good. Whereas in Gnosticism, it's very much the opposite. We're in a world and sort of imprisoned and a prison house of a world controlled by evil entities, by demons. Well, there's the demiurge, or the main creator god within the universe. He's not a transcendental god. He's not beyond matter, nor is he the ultimate creator of reality, but he is the God who's actually created this particular universe. And he's more or less evil. Like, he wants to actually imprison the souls within a material prison house. And that's us. We're sort of bound within matter. And we're situated on the Earth globe, Gaia. We're in the middle of the universe as a globe. And then sort of imprisoning the globe or surrounding it are various celestial spheres. You can almost imagine like a glass sphere, an orb around the Earth. And then around that one, another glass orb, and another glass orb, and another glass orb, all the way stretching out to the ultimate orb of the universe itself. And this orb of the universe has the fixed stars within it. When you look out into the sky and you see the smattering of the Milky Way, you're looking at the final orb of the universe. You're looking at the shell of the universe. And then you have these invisible sort of glass spheres, the planets such as Mercury, Venus, the Moon, Jupiter. All of these are embedded within these spheres. And these particular spheres are really almost like they're encapsulating us within the power, the influence of that particular planet. And that planet is a deity. It's an Archon. It's kind of like basically like a demon, like a powerful celestial being, which is not our friend. It's actually trying to lock our consciousness within a certain type of ignorance. And each particular planetary sphere, it represents sort of like a quality of that Archon or that demon, a level of material consciousness. And so the spiritual warrior or the spiritual aspirant, he's actually sort of, finds himself, awakens in this realm of Gaia, and then must, through the elevation of his consciousness, through the spiritual process, must shatter these different spheres of the Archons. He must rise out of the planetary influence, say, of Mercury, and challenge those illusions created by Mercury, that sort of material conditioning created by Mercury, the astral effect of Mercury upon our consciousness, and the illusion, ultimately, the material illusion that is characteristic of Mercury, into which we are living and which we're experiencing. And so he has to kind of rise up and, with spiritual knowledge, overcome that influence of Mercury upon him. And then passing through that sphere, then he moves on to Venus. He must overcome all of the challenges of Venus, lust or sex desire, or the desire for comfort and sensuality, the desire to leave the spiritual path and relax within this world and simply enjoy. He has to overcome that particular influence. And then overcoming Venus, then he has to move on to Jupiter and so. And therefore he sort of challenges the puppet string-like powers of these Archons, or these demonic planets. And these are the walls of the prison house. And so he's sort of drilling through the walls, kind of gradually making his way closer and closer to the final wall, the very edge of the universe. And then finally, passing through that edge of the universe, he enters into the divine light. He enters into the spiritual realm, and he's free. And he's beyond the influence of these evil Archon planets, and he's beyond the influence of the demiurge, the head Archon, or the most powerful among all the demons, the creator of this prison house universe. And so there's two different types of Archons. There's the Archons which are rulers of the planets. These are very high-level beings, and they're evil beings. They're like supremely powerful demons, basically, wicked entities. And of course, there's the demiurge himself, which is from the Judeo-Christian perspective is practically like Satan. And then you have beneath them, there's a lower level of Archons who are more the equivalent of daemons within the Greek conception. Whereas the higher Archons are like cosmic Archons, the planetary Archons, they're more the equivalent of the gods. And so these lower Archons, they are kind of, almost servants of the higher Archons. They're sort of like, lower level supernatural beings which are more absorbed in the activities of daily life. They're the ones kind of organizing the prison house, we experience day to day, and the effect on our consciousness that we experience within this prison house. And they rule also over the various bodily functions that we have. They're the ones that sort of control and manifest the prison of the body itself. So it's almost like, your suit, like your body itself is a prison suit, and then you're within a cosmic prison. And so the lower daemons are the ones sort of in control of the prison suit, and where you go and what you do. Almost like if you're in a prison, an actual jail, you have the prison guards, and they're handing you your food through the bars, and they're, tying your hands behind your back or handcuffing you and taking you from here to there and making you do this or that. So similarly, these lower Archons are controlling your direct physical experience. They have their hands on you, and they're actually moving you around and making you do things, making you experience things. And then the higher Archons, the cosmic Archons, the planetary Archons, they're kind of like the wardens. You generally don't see them, right? They're the ones, signing the paperwork and, making sure that the food is delivered on time. They're the ones that are sort of organizing the greater prison beyond your personal experience. And so, according to this text, the Egyptian mysteries, both of these can be conjured or brought forth within magic ritual. And conjuring such beings is not for the light-hearted. They're essentially what we would consider, say, from the Judeo-Christian perspective, to be demons. You're basically bringing a fiery, powerful, evil spirit into the room, and a demon that is, as powerful as a god, practically. And so we've heard also similarly, apparitions when one tries to summon a lower daemon. Although, as we'll hear, the experience is not entirely bad, like there can be good effects, or they can give good benefits, at least materially, when they're summoned. So it's not like they simply destroy you or something like that, but it is a terrifying apparition, sometimes. So when the Archon is summoned, you'll find that there are many different types of Archons, because they're essentially, it's like the Gnostic perspective on the supernatural world, including the gods and including the daemons, the lower supernatural beings. And so when they're summoned, there's many different types that will come. Very, very rarely do these supernatural beings come alone. And so when they do come, it's like they're surrounded by retinues of different types of entities. And so you'll find when an Archon is summoned that they'll come with a whole bunch of other types of supernatural beings or other Archons, but they'll all be arranged in their proper order. It's like, for example, when a military is summoned or something, you'll see that, you have the sergeant is here, the lieutenant is here. There's a certain standard way, an organized way in which everyone stands according to rank. So the Archons also come in that way because, from the Gnostic perspective, you're looking at the prison guards, like when the prison guards are summoned in the morning or something and they stand to attention, they're standing in military order and they're arranged according to rank. So similarly, there is order within the realm of Archons. They're also like the archangels. They're sort of like an evil form of the archangels, in that they create order within the universe, whereas the order of the archangels is a benefic one. It's a kind one. It's meant for your upliftment. It's ultimately the will of God, whereas the Archons, the order they create, is sort of driven by, evil intentions, the desire to imprison and to inflict punishment and pain. But nevertheless, that element of order is there. And so when the higher Archons arrive, they're considered to be very beautiful. And they're actually gigantic, they're huge. Like if you were to summon a higher Archon or a cosmic Archon, a planetary Archon, and say you're standing outside in a sacred space where the secret ceremony is being performed by the priests, and then this Archon appears, it will just kind of explode upward into the sky, so that as high as you can see, thousands of feet, you're seeing this gigantic, humongous form, of this powerful entity. And it's a beautiful form. And it's also glowing. It's basically, it's not as bright as the depictions of the gods or archangels or even the angels. It's a very mild glow, but it's a flame. He has a kind of cosmic flame around him. And it's a clear vision. It's not murky or smoky like the visions of ghosts and things like that. Rather, you can very clearly see him. He's not flickering or anything. It's just like he's right there. in front of you in a solid form, and it's free of admixture, meaning he remains as he is. He doesn't change. And along with him, you'll see certain regions of the universe. So you have this gigantic vision of the Archon, sort of like rising up into the sky, this humongous, imposing figure, which is both beautiful and intimidating. And at the same time, you see around him the various aspects of the universe that he controls. So say, for example, it is the Archon of Venus. It's controlling sensuality and comfort and enjoyment materially. Then you will see, all spread around him through the sky, or her, or whatever the spirit may be. You'll see lakes filled with swans and lotus flowers, or Egyptian lotuses, and you'll see beautiful women bathing in those lakes. Basically like perhaps even like half-naked women washing clothing, or whatever would tantalize the senses, chewing on pomegranates or something. And, there's something that will draw your attention, and you'll feel kind of the sensuous nature of Venus. It's almost like announcing their presence. They're in control of a certain aspect of the universe, and they bring that part of the universe with them, because they're intimately tied within it. With these supernatural beings, these controllers, these ones who order the universe, the aspect of the universe they control is really non-different from them. It's almost like part of their body. And so therefore they'll appear also with it, because it is them. And so these cosmic Archons, these higher Archons, they really do invoke the powers of the universe when they come. Whereas the lower Archons, it mentions they're born along tumultuously, and they change into many different forms. So, you summon sort of like a lower supernatural being. First of all, he's not as large as like a smaller being. And these forms are kind of incongruous. Like they don't really stay in one shape, like you're speaking to this lower Archon, and he's there, standing before you. Maybe he's the size of a man or something, but you can't really see him. He's kind of smoky. He's also not glowing very much. It mentions the lower Archons have a dark, fluctuating flame. So it's like he's smoldering like smoky fire, and his shape is constantly moving and shifting. He's like a shapeshifter, and you can't really pin down what he looks like. One moment looks like a beautiful man. The next moment looks kind of like an ugly creature, and then it's a beautiful woman, and then it's like this. So it keeps changing its form. And it's not very clear. It's kind of indistinct and smoky, like you can't really tell what you're looking at. And sometimes they'll put on a form, like a very beautiful form, but it's not a real form. You can tell that it's false. It's like wearing a mask. It's pretending to be a high level, like they like to pretend to be something they're not. They like to pretend to be some kind of powerful entity, but they're really not. They're just sort of like putting on a show, and you can tell. And it's also ostentatious, like it's not. Whereas, when the gods appear, or even maybe the cosmic Archons, these higher beings, you can really tell, that's who and what they are. Like they carry themselves with a certain dignity and comfort. Whereas these ones, it's like they put on bling, you know what I mean? Like they try to make themselves look very great and powerful, but you can just tell that it's like a mockery, ultimately, of those powers and that beauty, that strength that it's trying to emulate. And also the feeling that you'll get, just like the cosmic Archons, they have summoned an element of the universe that arrives with them and sort of decorates them like a backdrop to their presence. So similarly, the material Archons, or the lower Archons, do this as well, but it's what you'll see is disorder and discord in the realm of matter. You'll see the different difficulties and sufferings, that you generally experience. And just my interpretation would be that, when this being appears, you may see around them perhaps even visions of your own life and the suffering and struggles that you go through. Because this is what the lower Archon is actually controlling. He's controlling the practical suffering that you experience in your life and in your physical body. And so, when you got sick and when you were vomiting, and you felt you were going to die, you may see a vision of that, next to him, right? Because these are the various powers that he controls, and the various things in your life, like early on the way to the ceremony, you were sort of stuck in ancient traffic, like a bullock cart had tipped over, and some men are fighting in the street or whatever. and they're trying to, somehow or other, you're trying to walk around everything and all this type of stuff. Or maybe there's conflict in the village, or there's fighting in the kingdom, and your brother has died in battle. You may actually see your brother there being stabbed. So in this way, you'll see the various sufferings that are manifest within the lives of normal people. These higher Archons, they show themselves to be gigantic, powerful beings, and they truly are. And whatever benedictions you may ask from them, or whatever influence they're going to put into your life, it actually manifests. They actually come through with their word. Whereas these lower Archons, these kind of material Archons, they also try to put on a big display. They try to show themselves to be very beautiful and strong, but ultimately they don't have the power to really affect your life in such a powerful way. And according to the Egyptian priest Abamen, they ultimately, although they're putting on a big show, whatever they promise and everything, it fizzles out. It doesn't really manifest. And the cosmic Archons will sort of benedict your life with whatever you may need pertaining to life itself, sort of the bigger, greater things in life, whereas the lower Archons, they'll sort of extend benefits incident to your particular life or pertaining to your practical life on earth. Like, I lost my money or something, or I can't find my wallet, where's my wallet? They may actually tell you something like that, whereas the grand cosmic Archons will actually benedict you with something on a higher level, like, I want happiness in life, or something like that. But ultimately, even though they are considered evil beings, and in a sense very intimidating in nature, and inimical to your well-being, still, according to Abamen, they will benedict you with things which are helpful to you within the realm of human life. They'll help you with material affairs. They're not going to help you to somehow escape matter or to transcend spiritually, but they will help you with material things, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep you within material life. And so they can benedict you with material happiness if that's what you're looking for. But from the perspective of the Gnostic spiritualist, that material happiness is your greatest enemy. So thank you very much for listening. If you found value in this, please like and subscribe. If you're listening on iTunes, please visit srisachinandana.com/iTunes and leave a positive review. Thank you again, and we hope you'll join us next time on Gods, Demons, and Magic.